When we made our McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets, you were praise hands emoji. Then we ran out, and you were streaming tears emoji. Now they're back, so you can be grinning face with sweat emoji. Order ahead on the McDonald's app.
Break out the party hat emoji, because a 6-piece Spicy Chicken McNuggets is just $2.50. And if that's not enough, try a Spicy McCrispy or a Spicy Deluxe McCrispy. And if that's not enough, there's always the sauce. Price and participation may vary.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, and welcome to Dream Power Radio. This is the place where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams. Now you can use them to make the internal shift to a life you love and rediscover the truth of who you really are. Okay, let's take a moment and get honest with each other. I want you to think about this quote I'm going to read to you and ask yourself, have you ever in your life felt this way? Okay, here's the quote. Some people find rock bottom. I found out that rock bottom has a basement. Well, I got to tell you, there was a time that described me to a T. Those moments when all I could see around me was emptiness. I even remember I got to a point when every day, day after day, I could cite a real instance when something bad happened to me. I saw that as proof that the world was out to get me and keep me small and invisible. I felt like a victim, a failure, and I was convinced that things were never going to get any better. But if you were a stranger looking at me at the time, you'd see a happily married wife, mother, and business person. It wasn't until I was able to open my eyes and see the love that surrounded me, and quite frankly was always there, that I was able to begin to rise up from those awful, depressing feelings of despair and start on the road to self-love and self-awareness. Well, my guest today, Kevin Palmieri, also knows how it feels to hit rock bottom. In fact, he's the one that wrote that quote. But he also found a way to overcome the depression that threatened to upend his life. Kevin took it upon himself to heal and then made it his mission to spread what he learned to others. He's now coached hundreds of people and is the host of the popular Next Level University podcast. And he's here to share his wisdom with us. Welcome to Dream Power Radio, Kevin.
Debbie, thank you for the wonderful intro. That was beautifully said. And yes, our stories are much closer than I think I originally thought. So thank you for sharing yours as well.
Well, I think it's important to share our stories because I think when we hear other people's stories, we learn. We might see at least a little part of ourselves in them and see that if other people can do it, well, then maybe I can too.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, at the time that you felt your worst, you were someone, like I said, who looked like me, like everything was going your way, only to prove that looks are deceiving. So tell me, what wasn't working for you at the time?
Yeah. So just for context, I was 25 years old, and by all outside standards, I was living the dream. My job paid me anywhere from $60 to $120 an hour. That's awesome. I had a sports car. My girlfriend was a model. I had a new apartment. I just had done a bodybuilding show, so I was in the best shape of my life. Quite literally, I had everything you could ever want, but I was super insecure. I was super uncertain of my future. My self-esteem was low. My self-worth was low. My confidence was low. And I think the reason is I never dealt with any of the stuff that I had experienced when I was younger. I grew up without a father, and we didn't grow up with a lot of money. And I think that scarcity, that uncertainty, that became part of me, and that became part of my identity. And I never unconditioned that. I never unlearned that. One day, Debbie, my girlfriend, came to me and she said, Kev, I want to move across the country. I want to live in California. I want to chase my dreams. I've always wanted to live there. And I said, I don't think so. Here's a list of reasons why we shouldn't do this and why we'll fail if we do. And my girlfriend ended up leaving me. And best thing she ever could have done. I'm very proud of her for doing that. But when she left me, I had to look in that mirror, Debbie, for the first time to raise my self-awareness and realize, you are not the person that everybody, including yourself, thinks you are. And that was my initial rock bottom. When she left, I was living in this place by myself. on my own version, on my own journey of self-improvement now. But I remember when she left, that was my initial rock bottom. And it was a challenging time in my life for sure. But I learned a lot about myself. And I think self-awareness is such an important thing.
So you think, though, in retrospect, that was like the gift that she gave you?
I do. We actually talked afterwards. We were friendly after. There was never any hard feelings. It was just very much, hey, my journey has taken me this way. This is where you were in, that point in your life, in your journey. And yeah, I do believe that happened for both of us in a very impactful way. And I'm glad it did, because it taught me a lot of lessons. I think today's failures are tomorrow's lessons. And I think that's an important way to look at it.
It is a very important way to look at it. And one of the things that you say that you had to do was actually unlearn. So explain to me, what do you mean by unlearning?
Yes. I think that many of us, and this is a positive thing, many of us are very, very focused on learning. I have a bookshelf behind me. I have a podcast. Debbie has a podcast. We're focused on helping people learn. But I think of it this way. When you're born, you are a seed. You're a small seed, and you're planted into soil that you have no control over. And oftentimes that soil is toxic in some way, shape, or form. And that soil surrounds you for the rest of your life. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years later, you're learning all of this stuff from this new nutritious soil, but it doesn't seem to be landing. It's not helping you shift your identity. You still have a bunch of limiting beliefs. I think the reason is because you have to unlearn all of that other stuff, and you have to get to the root of who you are as a human being for that new nutritious soil to actually work for you. So I think that many of our lessons are within, and you can learn so much. And trust me, I learn every single day. And I think it's the most important thing, other than unlearning the stuff that is holding you back. I don't necessarily think it's a lack of knowledge. Sometimes I think it's a lack of self-awareness, and only you can raise your self-awareness. By definition, it is yours after all.
That is so true. And I also look at it as being a journey that I am still learning. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you, but I'm still learning things that I wish I knew back when I was your age. I mean, I think it would have made a different life, but I'm not regretful of anything that happened along the way. It's just, I took it upon myself to do, like you say, learn from those situations. So tell me, after you unlearned, what were some of the things that you learned to get you out of that rock bottom where you found yourself?
Yeah, it's interesting, because a lot of what I thought of myself was scarcity. I had to unlearn my relationship with money. I had to unlearn my relationship with failure and rejection. That's something I'm still overcoming every single day. I unlearned a lot of what was quote unquote normal. For me, throughout my childhood, a lot of it was scarcity, not enough money, lack of abundance, not enough this, not enough that, lack of certainty. So for me, I tried to learn as much as I could about where I was in life. So after I unlearned a bunch of stuff, it was, okay, I want to be a podcaster. What do I have to learn about podcasting? Cool. I want to be a better speaker. What do I have to learn about that? I want to be better with money. I want to be better in relationships. I want to be more healthy. I call it specialized learning. I think we all have chapters in our lives where we should be learning specific things. So I try to always say, okay, where am I? What is the lack of awareness stopping me from getting to the next level of my life? And then what is the knowledge that can fill in that gap and create the bridge? And that's really how I've lived the last 5 years of my life, focused on what do I need to know now? And that's kind of always it for me, is I'll build the next point of the bridge when I get there. And then the next point, the next point, the next point.
And then you just keep building on from that. And
forever.
And so, and also you're expanding your world, because you start from this one place, you put a little bit more on it, a little bit more on it. The world grows exponentially.
Yeah. And then things start to make sense. As you start to make sense of things, things start to make sense of you. And when you make sense of your past, you can make sense of your future. And I do believe that's why going into your past is so important, because that's where everything you learned came from the past. So today, for example, if I think of everything I know is from yesterday or earlier, it's not from this very moment, because this very moment is now in the past. So it's always about, people say, don't worry about your past. I don't think you should necessarily worry. I do think you should visit with the intention of taking back lessons and figuring out how you can apply them to your future.
That certainly makes a lot of sense. But the sad thing is, though, that so many people just go through life, like I could say, an automatic pilot. They don't ever stop to take the time to focus on who they are, where they came from, or even what their purpose is. When you're working with people, do you help them figure out what their purpose is?
Yeah, that is always the goal. And I think that sometimes people put so much pressure on themselves to find their purpose that they don't see what's right in front of them. To Debbie's point in the beginning, my rock bottom basement moment was me sitting on the edge of a bed debating suicide, right? That was the basement of my life where I didn't want to live anymore. I was so out of alignment. I didn't know what I wanted out of life. I found success and I didn't feel successful. But that is when my purpose came to me. I wanted to make sure that nobody ever had to go through what I went through. I wanted to be the person that I needed when I was suicidal. I think one of the things, Debbie, is necessity. Many of us don't ever find the necessity to find our purpose. And what I try to do when I'm helping people is I try to use my experience and my awareness to figure out, and this is the hard part, what is your deepest pain? And this is me talking to somebody. What have you really, really struggled with? What is that thing that you will never forget that happened to you? Odds are your purpose is probably tied up in the deepest parts of your pain that you don't want to look at. I'm blessed because I've been very confident about talking about my past, but that's where most people's purpose is. How do you want to serve the world based on the experiences that you've had? One of our mentors, Evan Carmichael, said that your pain comes from your deepest purpose. Oftentimes it's the place that you don't want to look. And if you're putting pressure on yourself to look into the future to find your purpose, it might be right under your nose. It's probably connected to something you've experienced already. You just got to look for it.
Well, how do you help people look for it?
Yeah. My goal is always to ask them the hard questions. It's, okay, what is the hardest thing you've ever been through? And they'll go into that. And I'll say, okay, why? Why is that the hardest thing you've ever experienced? Well, I didn't feel like I had blank, blank, blank. Okay. Why didn't you feel that way? Well, this happened, this happened, this happened. Okay. Why did it make you feel that way? And you keep digging down to the root of the actual pain. And then it's, okay, how would you serve the world to make sure that they don't experience what you've experienced? I believe that, if you think about the things that make you the saddest, or they create the most amount of passion in you, or they make you angry, what if that's a sign that that is part of your purpose? If when you see somebody litter, it literally wrecks your day and it makes you feel terrible and you say, oh my goodness, I can't believe the world has come to this. Maybe that's a sign that your purpose has something to do with the environment. Maybe if you see animals that are being abused or not taken care of or neglected, and it literally hurts your soul, maybe that's a sign that you should be doing something about that in your own way. You should be serving that. So it's always the self-discovery and raising people's awareness to what actually matters to them. And then I think this is part of it too, Debbie. Most people don't believe that they can actually accomplish their purpose. I think a lot of us, when you say, if you could do anything and there was no opportunity for failure, what would you do? People say it. And it's like, well, maybe that's your purpose, but you don't necessarily have the belief to follow through with that for the next however many years of your life, and you're afraid to fail. So that's a huge part of it too, is instilling belief in people to say, look, I wanted to be a podcaster. That's wild. And most people don't ever make a living podcasting, and I get to do that. So you can start an animal shelter. There's a bunch of other animal shelters out there. You can 100% do it. So it's awareness and belief. And then it's, consistency. That's the last part.
Well, I want to go into that a bit more, but we have to take a short break here. We are speaking about getting to the next level of your life with Kevin Palmieri, and we'll be right back. If you're not pleased with the trajectory of your life, the time to begin your own personal transformation is now, and your dreams can help pave the way. How? By tapping into your unvoiced confidence. What is unvoiced confidence, you say? It's the acceptance of your abilities and qualities. It's a state of mind coming from liking and even loving yourself, and feeling free to say or do anything you want without concern for the judgment of others. You were born confident, but may have had it chipped away little by the negative self-beliefs you've picked up over the years. If you're looking for the heightened energy, clarity of thought, and the feeling of being more alive that comes from self-confidence, you can rediscover it by paying attention to your dreams. Need some help doing this? Go to my website, thedreamcoach.net, and sign up for my complimentary dream discovery session. I can help show you how your dreams can help you return to the confident person you were always meant to be. Again, go to thedreamcoach.net. thedreamcoach.net.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, and we're talking about how you can reach the next level of your life with Kevin Palmieri. Well, Kevin, right before the break, you were talking about ways that we can find our purpose and work on it and figure out what it is and everything. And one of the important parts of that, I'd like you to go into a little bit more, is the whole concept of consistency. How does that factor into growth, and how do we keep consistent?
Yeah, I would say consistency is the key to long-term growth, because this is the thing. Anybody can start something. It's very, very easy to sign up for a gym membership. It's very easy to start a business. You pay the state that you live in or the government $500 and you can start your own business. But it's what you do every day that really, really, really matters. And the extra reason consistency is so important is because you will not see results in the beginning. Diet is a good example of this. You can diet for 2 or 3 weeks, go to the gym, and you don't see anything. And if you assume that is the result that you have earned, you're not going to continue doing it. Consistency is the key to your goals. Very little is possible in the next week. But if you keep that behavior up for the next 52 weeks, your life can look drastically different. What we always suggest is creating some sort of accountability. So necessity is required, in my opinion. Necessity is required for consistency. The pain of not doing something has to be greater than the pain of doing it. So here's the example we use. Alan and I, Alan's the co-host and the co-founder of Next Level You. We were on the podcast recently and we both want to lose 10 pounds, but we've been struggling because we're trying to grow a business and we're in relationships and we work every day and all this happy jazz. On the podcast, we said this: we're going to create what's called a commitment device. Alan and I will both lose 10 pounds by August 1st, or we do not get to record an episode. And we have never missed in 1,000 episodes. If Alan does not lose the weight, I'll do it myself. I'll do the episode by myself. If I don't lose the weight, Alan will do the episode by himself. If neither of us makes our weight goal, there will be no episode on that day. There's pain associated with us not accomplishing that goal. Now, what that might look like to you out there is saying, okay, I'm going to do blank by blank date. And if I don't, I'm going to donate $100 to a charity that I do not believe in. So if you lost somebody to lung cancer because they were a smoker, I'm going to donate $100 to Philip Morris, the biggest cigarette tobacco company in the world. That pain associated with doing that will give you extra necessity. And then I understand that's somewhat of a hardcore example. What helps a lot of people is finding a peak performance partner. So say Debbie and I are peak performance partners and I text Debbie and I say, Debbie, I just don't want to record an episode today. I don't want to record an episode today. She can say, Kev, remember when you and I had that agreement that we were going to record these episodes because it's not about us. It's about the listeners. It's about making sure that we're impacting the world. You got this, Kev. You can do this. Don't let me down. You're willing to do more for other people than you are yourself. Usually that's why if somebody's waiting for you at the gym, you're going to not hit snooze. You're going to get up, throw those gym clothes on and get to the gym. So creating accountability through one of two ways, and there's many other ways to do it, that is very, very helpful when it comes to consistency.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, I find it, my work with dreams, when I say if you're wanting help remembering your dreams, get somebody to share it with. Talk to them about it. You get, not only is it you're telling them, I'm going to dream and I'm going to tell you what my dream is, but they may be able to give you some insights you might not be able to figure out yourself. So it works as a partnership. But the interesting thing about that is that it's great to have an outside person for that accountability. And I totally subscribe to that. But it also brings up the point that sometimes it's so difficult for us to be our own accountability partners. And I think to some degree that may have a lot to do with the idea of confidence, that having that deep down confidence in ourselves. So how can we really keep up our own confidence and belief in ourselves?
I think the only way to increase confidence is to set and then keep the small promises that you're making to yourself. What a lot of people do is they say, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a level 2 confident, but I want to be a level 10. And it's like, well, you got to go from level 2 to level 2.5, and then to 3 and to 3.5. You can't jump from 2 to 10 because you're just not capable of that yet. So the example I always use, I was talking to somebody recently and we were talking about the fact that she wanted to be a speaker. And I said, well, I've done some speaking. I've, 1,000 episodes. I can help you with that. I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you could do a speech and throw it up on YouTube right now? Throw it up on Facebook, throw it up on Instagram. And she said, oh, that's way out of my comfort zone. I could never do that. Okay, cool. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you could do a video and then just show nobody? Just do it to your phone and never show anybody. She said, oh, I'm 10 out of 10. I could do that. I said, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you could do a video and send it to me? And she said, probably like a 5. I said, perfect. Do that, because that's in alignment with where you are currently. Then the next thing is maybe we do one and send it to somebody else, not your entire social media platform, but maybe it's to somebody else. So I think that what you have to do is you have to understand that your comfort zone is what's easy to you. Your anxiety zone is what seems impossible. And the zone in the middle that's learning, that is where you need to live. That is just beyond your current capabilities. And it's a great place to live because that's where you build confidence. You have to build confidence through action. But a lot of us are setting these goals based on actions that we're not ready to take. And if you set them smaller and understand with consistency, to Debbie's point, then you can be the most capable version of yourself, the most confident version of yourself. That comes with time. It took me 150 podcast episodes to actually feel confident. 150. And because every time I try to do a little more, a little bit better, a little more, a little bit better. So I would say action is the cure-all. We just have to set the right actions at the right capability level when it comes to our confidence and our anxiety zones and comfort zones.
And you think it's always about getting just that little step outside of our comfort zone and taking one little step at a time?
100%. Because so for the last 5 years, think about it like a bullseye. In the middle is comfort. The next layer is learning, and the outer layer is anxiety. I've lived in the anxiety zone because I went from making $100,000 to making zero. And I didn't know this journey was going to be the way it is. That had negative effects on my mental health. It helped my confidence, but it also hurt a lot of other things. In retrospect, I would have taken smaller shots. Okay, let me try this. All right, let me try this. Let me do this. Let me do this. Yeah, I think it has to be small steps, because here's the other thing. If things go wrong, it doesn't hurt as bad. It's not like you're going from not speaking to stepping on stage in front of 15,000 people, where if you have a negative result, you'll never do it again. That's part of this too, is there's a chance you do fail, but if you send me a video and I say, hey, these are a couple things you could do better, it's not the end of the world, and it doesn't break you from trying it again in the future.
And it's being able to take those steps and to really be willing to fail. Because if you look at the people who say, failure isn't failure, it's just, learning a better way to do it, or learning how not to do it so I can do it better the next time. And it brings you to the powerful concept of language, because when you frame your words in a way that are positive and empowering, instead of using words like failing and dismissive and whatever negative other words you can talk to, it makes all the difference in the world.
100%. Yeah, think about it. When you're young and you learn to ride a bike, you probably failed every single day up until the day that you actually took the training wheels off. But as we get older, our association with that goes away because, well, there's people watching and what are they going to think? When you're young, you don't care. You're not thinking about what other people are thinking. You're thinking about, hey, I got to ride this bike across the park. So yeah, to your point, Debbie, you have to change your association with failure and understand. And what helped me do that was think of some of the most successful businesses in the world started off as massive failures, and they failed and failed and failed and failed until they figured out, okay, this works. This doesn't work. And then you rinse and repeat. If you can pair that with consistency, that's when you become successful.
Absolutely. So far, been talking very much in the generalities, but you can apply these concepts to all areas of your life, right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, when it comes to consistency, it's everything, right? If you're consistent in your relationship will be more successful. If you're consistent with your health, it'll be better. If you're consistent with your understanding of finances, you'll be more financially free. When it comes to confidence, that's across all avenues of life. And one thing I do want to add to the confidence side of things, really think about this. You're confident at the things that you have done the most. I remember the first time I learned to drive a car, I was not confident I could drive that thing. Now I don't even think about it. It's because you become confident at what you become competent at, and that you can do that with anything, in any layer, in any level, in any facet of life. You can become more confident for sure.
And it all begins with taking action.
Yes. Action is the cure-all. Action is the cure-all. There are some people out there who think that they can do anything. I always say, then go try something you've never done, because maybe that will humble you into the awareness that, oh, I really need to be taking action more. There's a lot of people out there who do not think they can do anything, where I say, well, go try something and see what happens. It might go better than you think, and you might have a deeper layer of belief in yourself, and you might be able to try it again next time a little bit better. I think action is the cure-all. You just have to be careful whether or not you attach your self-worth to the outcome. If you're doing something that scares you, I don't even care about the outcome. I don't care if you get the job. I don't care if you get a standing ovation. The action, the act of chasing that fear is more valuable than the outcome, especially in the beginning.
It is so true. I have to ask you this, though, Kevin.
Please.
Why did you call your podcast Next Level University?
Reason number one, it was originally called the Hyperconscious Podcast. And I realized that most people don't know what hyperconscious means. So part of it was branding, but part of it was, I think a lot of people get left behind on the self-improvement journey because they don't think they're ready to start. And the way things are set up for us, no matter what your self-improvement set point is, there's a level for you. And then we'll show you how to get to the next level. And no matter what your financial picture looks like, we have free stuff all the way up to very high-end paid stuff. There's always a next level. So for us, it was one of the reasons nobody knew what the other title was. The second part, we said next level a lot already. And the third thing was, no matter where you are, we want it to be accessible. And we want to be the people to guide you to the next level. So it just kind of made sense. It really made sense for us.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Kevin, one final question. How can people find out more about you, your podcast, your work?
Yeah. If you, after this episode, search Next Level University on whatever podcast platform you use, we will come up. We are also on YouTube. And then if you want to reach out to me, my favorite place is Instagram. I am at Never Quit Kid. I will send you a video and you and I will be friends.
Wonderful. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being on Dream Power Radio today.
Thank you for having me, Debbie. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. We've been speaking about reaching your next level with Kevin Palmieri. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. If so, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio.